b-boy. From the old to the new, still a b-boy. Too bold for the school, still a b-boy. East coast to the west, b-boys worldwide. We supposed to be blessed, still a b-boy.
What's up, B-boys and B-girls? We are back, and this is the first interview of Season 5. We had a month of roundtables. I'm going to slide some interviews. And for our first interview in Season 5, we're going to the East Coast, and we are talking to Mickey Factz. How's it going, man?
Smicky, what's going on?
What's up?
What are your very first memories of hearing hip-hop?
Ooh, that's a good one. Very first memories, you guys look like you guys are seasoned. My first hearing of hip hop was, at least from my recollection and what I can remember, is Long Live Kane, the vinyl, and hearing Ain't No Half Steppin', and being a kid trying to make him sound like a chipmunk, and putting him up on the 45. And then my cousin yelled at me and was like, "You don't listen to it like that. You listen to it like this." And that was my first introduction to hip hop, Big Daddy Kane.
That's a great first introduction, no doubt. So once you're hearing hip hop and you're getting into it, who are some of your first favorite MCs?
Well, obviously, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim. I have very vivid memories of Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, Eazy-E, who was in the jail cell and then jumping out of jail somehow, some way. I was a kid, so I had to catch it on TV when I went to my cousin's house. I couldn't really watch it at home, so I didn't really I had to get into it like that. I remember Crisscross, Jump Jump. Trying to win my clothes backwards. My mom was not having it. Tribe Called Quest. I bought my first tape in 1993, and that was Into the 36 Chambers. My dad was a big Naughty by Nature fan. He was a big Public Enemy fan. So obviously I was allowed to hear that kind of stuff. But my first tape was Into the 36 Chambers.
So at what point did you start thinking, maybe I can do this? Did you start writing first, trying to rhyme along? How did that all come together?
So I was definitely rhyming along. So, 1995, 96, first of the month, rewriting those lyrics in 1995, reciting them in school. So I was the only one who knew all of the Bone Thugs lyrics from East 1999, the album. So coming to school, rhyming the first of the month, that was my introduction to actually rewriting lyrics and reciting them. So I did that for a while. And then I started to do that. I started to do parody rap. Whatever was popular, I would do parody rap, which was misogynistic. At the time, I think, TLC put out Fan Mail, so they had the No Scrubs. So then Sporty Thieves had No Pigeons. So I started to do that kind of thing where I was emulating that stuff, and then I started to write my own rhymes. I was very much so into the punchline style kind of rap. So 1998 was when I wrote my first, kind of rhymes.
Your rap name, Mickey Factz, how'd you come up with that? How did that come together?
I was going by the name Renegade for a very long time. And then my rap partner at the time, her name was Driz Mommy. She was like, if we're going to be a group, because we were looking to be a group, she was like, we should be called Mickey and Mallory. And I was like, what's that? She's like, oh, you never seen Natural Born Killers. So we sat and watched Natural Born Killers. And I was like, yo, this Mickey guy he's crazy. So I was like, all right, we could be called Mickey and Mallory. I wasn't trying to change my name from Renegade though. So she stopped rapping. And when she stopped rapping, I had to continue to rap. And I kind of didn't, I didn't want to rap the way I was rapping, which was super violent, super rapping about stuff that I wasn't doing. And I got inspired by Common's B. That album really just changed my entire life and thought process. I was like, oh, I could rap like this. So then I kind of went with Mickey. And then the name Factz was like, well, since I'm so inspired by B and it feels like he's talking about his life, then maybe I need to do that. Maybe I need to talk about my life. And I only want it to be Factz. And that's where I came up with the name. It had a ring to it. And then I was like, but it doesn't look right. And I was like, well, the Z will make it look right. And it looked cool. And it was easy to Google at the time. If you type that in 2007, 2008, 2009, you would get it without any pushback. So that's why I went with that name.
I want to talk about the battle rap scene because this is a scene that's dear to my heart. I'm from the Milwaukee area, and in the late '90s, my guy and I would always go to. They had these tournaments, battle rap tournaments in Milwaukee, and I always loved that lyrical hip hop too. How did you run into that scene and decide to pursue that? Because that takes, that's skill. You're not just rapping anymore. It's the next level MCing.
Well, in New York City, we were just that was kind of what you had to do to kind of get your name out there. If you didn't have the money to get on mixtapes, so we was just battling in the streets. If you was on somebody's block. I'm not sure how Milwaukee. Shout out to the Mad Planet, by the way, but I don't know if Milwaukee you could just kind of walk around.
Not like New York, no.
Yeah,
it's more spread out.
New York.
Yeah.
In the summertime, if you was walking around New York, you was gonna run into some people who rapped, and then you would just kind of like spit your written rhymes until somebody ran out of rhymes. Then it started to become an industry when Grind Time and King of the Dot and URL started to kind of come into the fold. I was still a fan, but I wasn't participating until 2013. 2013, I jumped in. I did a 1-round battle. I just kind of wanted to do it just to do it, and then be done. And then 4 years later, I battled Daylight on King of the Dot, and then the following year I battled DNA, and then I think like 5 years later, maybe 6 years later, I battled Averb. So I only really have 4 of them. It's a very tough art form to kind of do because you have to be flawless and you have to do it in one take, and it's something that nobody's ever heard before, and you have to get it off and then also entertain a crowd who's never heard it either. So it's a lot of anxiety that goes into it, as well as a lot of prep, but it's fun. It's like you get the jitters out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've always had respect to the MCs who could just freestyle like that. The battle MCs have always impressed with that skill, because it's one thing to sit down and write a rap and rhyme words, but to be up there battling, another thing. So my regular fans will know me. I kind of gave myself the title the grumpy old b-boy because I look at a lot of modern rap and I say that shit was better when I was a kid in the 80s listening to it. But listening to your stuff, it has a lot of those classic, boom bap elements, which is refreshing to hear. Do you find that hard keeping that hip hop sound and maybe not going with the trendy stuff?
No, I just think I was born in the wrong era. I should have, I love being 42, but I probably should have been born in the 70s. And then I could have experienced the beauty of the 90s. I'm appreciative of being able to, jump into different genres of hip hop. When I first came onto the scene, I was doing electronic music. I was rapping over NERD, which was really rock music. And I was just being very experimental, and when I got signed, I was trying to do more, pop sounding music. So it was sounding like LMFAO, and I was doing stuff like that. I was doing like dance hip hop music. It just so happens that the label folded, and then I had to kind of fall back into my hip hop roots. And that's basically what's sustained me over the past 13 years. So I always try to, deliver some hip hop. I'll experiment here and there, but I know that if I want to keep the lights on in my house, that I have to give, my supporters exactly what it is that they're looking for. And so far this year, I put out a compilation project with my students at Pendulum Inc. And then I put out like a Miami-based sounding kind of project in February. So the boom bap is on the way in June. A project called One Above All. Super, super hip hop project. It's really good. Oh, so good. I'm very excited for that to come out. I think people are going to really, really love it.
One thing I like to always ask someone is, have you ever spit something on a record that you later regretted putting out?
Yeah. So I had a record called Sublime that I put out in 2008 where I was like playfully, subliminally dissing like my peers. And if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't have done that. I would have probably just avoided that concept altogether. Kind of had a falling out with Wale and Cudi at the time. We're all cool now, but at the time it was pretty heated. I wouldn't have done that. It was just playful. It was just competition thing, but it just wasn't received well.
And another question I always ask is, do you have any crazy show memories, something just bananas that happened at a live show?
I had a show in at UCLA, the college, in 2009, and I was performing with Ra Ra, and somebody passed out, and they had to I was performing, I touched this girl's hand, and she passed out.
Like Elvis.
Yeah,
Michael.
They had to stop the show. Like EMTs had to come in, carry her out. It was the whole thing.
So you talked a little about new projects coming out. Is there any others that you want to quick get out there?
One Above All is coming out in June, man. That's gonna be a doozy. That's the next one I'm gonna really start pushing heavy. We're towards the end of April, so expect this like right before July.
Pluggables, where can people find you online, social media handles?
Yeah, man, pendulummink.com. Go sign up if you want to be a better lyricist. Also, you can find me on Instagram, instagram.com/MICKEY.FACTZ. Hit me up, twitter.com/Mickey Factz, facebook.com/Real Mickey, the Real Mickey Factz. I respond to everybody, so if you say something to me, I'm gonna hit you back.
Well, I appreciate you taking a little bit of time out. I love talking to people who love the art of MCing. So many people just do it for other reasons. I love to talk to MCs more than just a rapper. So I appreciate it. Keep making that dope music, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys for appreciating lyricism. It's a dying art form.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people feel like it's, commercially viable or financially sound. But people that truly love the art form, as you heard in my origin story, we're going to do our best to continue this, to keep going. That's all that matters to me. You know what I mean?
Still a B-boy, from the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East Coast to the West, B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed. Still a B-boy.